Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I've got filmmaker Danny Pineros with me. Hey, Danny.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going great. It's good to see you again.
Same, likewise.
We met at Sherman Film Festival last December, where your film, Don't Watch This, and when I say your film, Don't Watch This, you were the director, you wrote it, and co-producer, and I bet a lot of other hats as well.
Correct. Edited it.
And when we get to that part of your bio, you can it's up to you how humble you want to be about how many did you operate camera, did you cook for everyone, you were catering, whatever,
Nothing else.
everything, right? Yeah, indie films. But I just want to say that Don't Watch This. Absolutely, just a fantastic film. I loved it as a member of the jury, and then it was awesome to see that you took home 2 awards. You took home the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Originality for Short Film Horror, an Outstanding Screenplay for Short Film Horror for you personally, Danny Pineros. Oh, you're getting the trophy. You got the trophies.
Yeah.
You know what? When we get if we remember, I'll do a screen grab of you holding your trophies.
Okay, perfect.
But and I'll add, just in case you weren't aware, because it's like reading the fine print in our emails and website. But the Filmmakers Awards, that is a jury of all alumni. Those are active filmmakers who've had films in the festivals previously, which means you got outstanding screenplay and outstanding originality from your peers, which I think
awesome.
Very rad. So you made this fantastic film that that people can watch now. You've got it available. So we'll put a link in the show notes to YouTube so people can watch Don't Watch This. Clearly a title that reveals that it is got humor to it. But man, I mean, you submitted it as horror, but it's dramatic, it's comedic, it certainly has horror elements. It's just excellent human storytelling. Congrats all around.
Thank you. It was hard to decipher what genre to submit it as. And honestly, the genre evolved as I thought of it, and then as I planned it. I originally thought of it as a drama. I wrote it as a drama with I play a soundtrack, and I did it with the soundtrack of Succession. I don't know, that's just what sounded good to me. But then as I was working in pre-production, I realized, this feels more like a psychological thriller rather than an actual drama. So it evolved into that. But then as I was editing, I realized, you know what? This would benefit from some horror elements.
You know what? The truth is, I even left out the thriller side, but because we adapted our categories at the festivals to also, I think we have action thriller. I bet you were tempted to click that one too.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know where to submit it because I feel I don't know if I should call it, it's like a unique genre that I'm like, it could go both ways. So yeah, that was definitely interesting. I did have a festival strategist, and she said you should submit to horror or genre festivals. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. So that's what we did.
And that advisor was not wrong because I wonder if I know the person. But anyway, because also associating yourself with horror will probably help you, with some other platforms and things down the line. So, because even though you cover so much, I mean, I don't know whether I should call it genre busting or whatever, but it's such a complete story that, yeah, you could have gone thriller, you could have gone horror, you could have gone drama. Honestly, it is really funny too at times. So
yeah,
here we go. You've got this excellent work behind you now, and I'm sure I know you're working a lot and moving forward with your career. But you want to go back to the beginning, like what got you into filmmaking? Did you get the bug young?
Yeah, honestly, I feel I was very fortunate and lucky to know I wanted to be a filmmaker since very early on. And it really started with a toy that I got as a gift from Santa. Was this Lego set. It was called the Movie Maker Lego set. It was actually done by Steven Spielberg. I don't know if you heard of it. And it came with a little stop motion camera you connect to your PC back then. And it had its own iMovie software where you could do stop motion. And the Lego set was like a film set. It was about a dinosaur that would destroy a city. So you had a tiny miniature city that you could destroy with the dinosaur at scale. And then you had a huge leg of the dinosaur just to do the close up of the leg crushing things. And then you had helicopter with a rolling background that you could move as a Lego, and it would look like the helicopter's flying. So that was the main set, and I remember I got it as a Christmas gift, and I would play with that so much, creating my little stop motion movies, and it felt that's how I would creatively play. I felt like I was playing with dolls or whatever with the Lego, right? That's just how I played. And I was 10 when I got that gift, or 11. And as time passed, I really enjoyed watching movies. And as time passed, I was like, I can't believe this felt so fun. And I can't believe I could potentially decide to do that for a living. That's crazy that, like, because it was just fun for me. That's all it was. It didn't feel like effort. And this idea started solidifying. And I remember in high school, I was tasked with school project to do a video, and I did a video with my laptop camera, and then one night on my own, I used laptop camera and did a little short film overnight. I remember I stayed out over where my house that one Friday night. I was like 15 at this point, and actually that short film is available on my YouTube as well, so it's funny, you can see it. But yeah, and then I did that, and again it felt like playing. It just felt like fun, and that's when I decided, you know what, I want to explore. This is a career. I come from a family of doctors, and I think maybe there was a little bit of an expectation that I would follow that path or something similar. I think I'm very lucky that my parents were so supportive with presenting with the idea of studying filmmaking when, it was like, wow, how are you going to pay the bills? Because I think they were expecting doctor, lawyer, engineer, who knows, right? But yeah, that's how it evolved. And I went to film school, and, fast forward almost 20 years. I know, like 15 years. And yeah, this is where I'm at right now.
Well, fantastic. I might make you slow down a little. Well, first, oh my God, I haven't heard of that Lego set, but I don't think I even have to comment besides the fact that I totally get it. Plus, everyone knows Lego is like a brilliant toy for a young mind to teach, architecture and planning things out and building. So, but then the fact that movie maker Lego set sounds amazing. So I totally get it. And then you were just making stuff all the way through middle school and high school, and then there was no doubt you would choose film for your undergraduate.
Well, doubt there was, because I was a little bit ashamed to say, this is what I'm going to choose. What am I going to live off of? And I thought I had to choose more of a traditional career. So I was like, well, maybe I'll do advertising, right? Maybe there's a creative way to do some sort of video, look into commercials. So doubts there were, but I think the support of my parents and this really, really like idea, you know what, if I put my mind into it, I'm sure I can make it work. Is what really allowed me to be like, okay, even though I doubt it, I want to make it happen. And I'll never forget, my dad told me, look, I'll support you, but I think it would be smart for you to do some classes before you choose to make it your actual career. And I'm like, okay. So he helped me with getting into New York Film Academy. I did a 2-month course. And I thought that was a brilliant idea, because I'm like, okay, 2 months actually studying this. And then after that, I can assess if I really want to do it as a career or not. And those 2 months were fantastic. I did 4 short films in those 2 months. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do with my life.
And by the way, I mean, did you grow up in the LA area?
No, I grew up in Colombia. I'm from Bogota, Colombia. That's where I grew up. Yeah.
By the way, I'll just add, I love your country. I love your home.
Thank you.
I've been to Colombia twice, and
Really?
yeah,
Nice.
I just think it's the best. In fact, I joke with my wife all the time that that's where we should retire to.
I think you should. That's my plan. I want to retire there for sure, because I think it's a paradise.
Right. So you grew up there. So it wasn't like you were growing up in LA, where like I know that people who grow up in SoCal are made aware of how many jobs are involved in the film industry, right? Like it's a little safer choice when you think to yourself, oh, I can work as first AC in television, or I could be an AD. Like there's, right? Because when you're growing up far away from the Los Angeles area, I think like filmmaking is like you either make it as a director or you don't. Like it's right, that practical thing. But
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. And thinking right now, looking back, I don't think I was very aware of the decision I was making. I was just going with the flow. But which I think was great for making a decision. And maybe I gotta learn from that when I make decisions today, because now I think a lot about the pros and cons and analyze everything. And I'm not sure what the decision would have been if I really, really did the research and really saw like the like success of trying to become a director and stuff. Because I know it's very hard to make it, but I'm grateful that I followed this path, and I really think it's shaping up to be where I wanna be.
Yeah, fantastic. So at the I know New York Film Schools is I know I've met a lot of people who've gone there. So did you come up to LA for that?
No, it was actually New York.
Oh, so
It
you
was
went to the
a
New York because I know they have branches here and there and probably
yeah,
elsewhere. So you went.
yeah.
Wow, that must have been amazing to show up in New York for 2 months and do that.
Amazing. I was 17. I turned 18 there actually. And no, never mind. I had just turned 18 and I moved and I went there for 3 months, but I studied the 2 month course, and that was incredible. The first time I was alone somewhere, going to these classes, the first time I felt like an adult where, oh wow, I gotta, figure out the cooking situation and everything.
Well, and New York is quite an experience for an 18-year-old, I would bet.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But it was amazing. I was so happy during those 3 months.
And I bet was it pretty hands on? Isn't that school's pretty hands on, right? Like did you start shooting like week
I
one or so?
I loved it. I loved it because it was really hands-on. What they did is we had, it's 8 weeks, and the idea is to do 4 short films. The first one is very basic. All of them are, the first three are done with actual film, which is cool, 16 millimeter. That's how it was back then, 2008. I don't know if that's the case today, but yeah, like 2 weeks into it, I had to do my first one. My first short film was, it was one shot. Um, in one location, no audio. Then the second one, you start adding the editing, so more shots, but still no audio. Then the third one, that one has audio. And then the last one is like, okay, this is with digital, and this is an actual short film. And I made a 8 minute short film for that one. Um, and yeah, it's fun. I still have those on my YouTube as well.
Nice. And by then it was that was really smart. It was your dad who recommended it, right?
Yes.
So that locked it in, and then you really had a good idea of what it was involved, and then you chose an undergraduate program.
Yeah, so then I went to Full Sail. I don't know if you've heard of Full Sail. It is in Florida. It's a film school there. They have a bachelor's in film, but what they do is they compress it into a heavier schedule, but they make it shorter. So their whole spiel is you're gonna have classes 24/7, and I did have some classes at 1 a.m. or 5 a.m. So some classes were a little bit heavy, but yeah, it was an interesting experience. It's in Orlando, Florida, and that's actually where I met one of my closest creative partners, I would call it, Enrique, who also was in the festival, and we both submitted the film. And thank God you were down to put our films in the same block, because that way we were able to invite our peers and friends, and that was a very beautiful experience to share a screening with you through your festival. So thank you for allowing us to do that.
Fair enough. Although it meant that you had an Enrique who had been at the bar first, commenting on your film during his Q&A. I remember that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I know, that's funny.
Well, that's very cool that you met there, and that's why I've heard of Full Sail before. But yeah, it sounds like a really smart program. Heck, especially because at that age, I can remember college. Like you got tons of energy. I would be up all the time in the middle of the night. So why not take a class instead of goof off?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's a very unique school. They don't have like the sports teams, or it's not like that. But what they are really good at is like their campus. It feels very modern. They have a backlot. We could shoot anytime on the backlot, and they have a street that looks like Europe. They have a gas station. So it's very cool. And then the equipment they have is just crazy. Like there was a class where we did broadcasting, and like it was like a news studio, like an actual legit news studio with the cameras and the lights. So we got our hands on that. And the last film is a 35 millimeter short film that we do. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a school that has it's very hands on, and it has a lot of like a great campus in terms of what it does for the technology they have feels pretty spot on and modern. They have like a mocap studio, and it just feels like, to me, it feels like if Apple had a college, that's what it would feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wow, that's a way to put it. Got to remember when EVs came out and people said it's like if Apple made a car. But
Mm.
I love the analogy. So, and while you were there, well, while you were there, did you decide, okay, when I finish this program, I'm going straight to LA, or did they give you advice on how to get the career launched?
So when I was done, I definitely knew I wanted to come to LA, because I feel when I look at my future and where I want to get, I feel this is one of the only places where I really can make it happen. Because I see myself, directing movies pretty much, right? That's how I want to make a living. Um, and I knew that future could happen here, right? The thing is, being from Colombia, I was an international student, and when I got out of school, I really had to figure out my visa slash green card situation, and that took like 6 years to figure out. So a lot of my decisions after school had to be around making that possible. And then after I was able to figure that out and go through my visas, do the artist visa and all of that, I feel at that point I was able to, okay, now I can really focus on the filmmaking career.
Yeah, I don't know if I should say it in a public forum, but like the festival has had probably half a dozen or so people ask us for help with like to write an immigration letter to say this person is an artist who contributed to our festival and they're a value. So yeah, we do all we can to help people with visas. I know the visa situation can get a little crazy, but
Yeah.
and I was going to ask, like, when you were at Full Sail and then deciding to come here, were you thinking about specialties in the film industry, or was it really to write and direct?
It was always to direct. Always. It was very interesting because I noticed a lot of the students with that were there with me, I could tell they were like inclining towards something else. Some of them were like, "Wow, I thought I wanted to be a director," and realizing I really like the camera department. I might want to be a DP. And someone was like, "No, I love the art department." And now they're, he designed the stage of the Oscars. So it's funny how it almost feels like they give you a taste of all the areas of filmmaking, and then you can get to make a choice of, oh, because we had classes. I remember we did makeup class, and we did all from beauty makeup, special effects makeup to like, we yeah, and we had like a class that was lighting, and honestly, I feel very prepared to be a gaffer or a grip. We saw all like 200 little tools to be a gaffer and all sorts of stands, and yeah, it was very hands-on in that regard. And going back to your question, I do believe some people choose like a different sub career within the film industry. For me, it only strengthens my desire to be a director, and early on, I realized that I wanted to direct my ideas, which meant I had to also work on my writing, which is something that I started practicing after I finished film school. And now, writing is on par with directing. It's something that I do on a weekly basis, or I mean, not every week, but I try to. But yeah, definitely, I've written 3 features now, trying to fund my first one, which is I'm not gonna say very advanced, but it's the one that I think will happen the soonest. And yeah, I found love for writing as well.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, I'm about to compliment your writing, but maybe I'll ask a question first. And I think you know the compliment because I said it to you at the festival after your screening. But in that visa era, were you able to be creative and make some films? Were you like shooting stuff and making shorts the whole way along?
Yeah, so it was a very, very special time in my life, a lot of growth, a time of a lot of growth, because I was working as an assistant for this director. He did music videos and commercials mostly, but he had done 3 movies, documentary, and he was represented by a big agency. So we would get these crazy scripts. Like I read John Wick, Mortal Kombat, all these scripts back in like 2015, 2014. Tell a funny story about that script, but I can do it later if you want. But anyways, it was very cool to learn from him because I was on sets all the time, and I saw him, and he is very big in the commercial world and music video world. So I did get to get involved with big productions on a regular basis. And what I would learn from that, I would try to apply as a director on the side. So I directed a lot of music videos. That was really how I started. I was just doing a lot of music videos for small to medium artists. But then around 2020, I feel there's moments in your life where you see like the fork in the road. And I had a conversation that really, really changed my life with this director. He had directed a series for Netflix. I was editing something for him for this series. And, we're confiding, we're friends pretty much. And he's like, they're asking me to recommend directors for the second season. And I'm like, why don't you recommend these directors that we represent? They're great. And he's like, yeah, but they only do commercials and they don't even have one short film. And I'm like, so? And he's like, no, Netflix will only look at whatever narrative they've done. And that clicked in me. I realized, wow, I could grow my career as a music video director or commercials director, but that doesn't directly translate into me growing as a feature filmmaker. It almost feels like if I want to do features, I have to go back in my career and start from scratch to make films. And I do know there's directors that have done the jump from music videos and commercials to films. I think that happens a lot. But it just opened my mind that it's not a given, right? It's not like the path is you start music videos and commercials and jump. And that conversation changed my life because I had just shot a commercial. It's my first commercial. It was a big budget for a known brand. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want to make with, that's how I'm going to do the jump. But that conversation made me realize that's not a given. Nothing's telling me that this path will get there. And in fact, I spoke with those directors that do huge commercials. And he was telling me, man, I've been trying to get this movie going and it's so hard. I think I'm going to shoot a short film. And do you want to help me edit it? And I'm like, dude, someone of your level is trying to make a short film the way I try to make my short films. So it really opened my eyes and it made me go back and be like, okay, I think this is important. Do I want to focus on music videos and commercials? Or do I just focus on narrative? And I made that decision right there and then. And I said, no, I want to be a new movie director and that's what I'm going to do. So it took a lot of effort, but I decided to say no to some music videos that would come my way, unless it was one that, I felt would give me something, or, if you had the right budget that I could explore creatively, or if I, could make a living out of that. But like, if I would get a music video that I feel wasn't good for my reel or didn't have enough budget, I started saying no to those. And I honestly stopped putting my effort into finding new commercials, and I focused that effort into writing short films, funding them, writing features, and making them happen. So that conversation I will never forget happened during COVID in 2020. And the last 6 years is when I shifted my focus fully. And yeah, I've done 4 short films since then and written 3 features. And that's now where my focus is.
And that's when you shifted, not so much shifted your focus, but you added writing to your focus.
Yes, well, I have had this idea for a movie since I was like 21, and I did try to write back then. I always knew I wanted to make movies, but it was one of those things that I'm like, yeah, I'm writing this film, and then I thought, when was the last time I wrote? Oh my god, I haven't written in 3 years. So I think I really got serious about writing it before COVID, though. I think I started writing it like in 2018. I remember I finished that script in 2021. Like it was like draft 26. So that one script is when I would really consider myself that I started really writing.
Gotcha. All right. Well, so now here's the compliment I was promising, but you know it, but which is that, I run 2 film festivals, one, Film Invasion LA in the summer and Sherman Oaks Film Festival in the winter. So I see 700-800 submissions per, and I see a lot of films, all indie. And don't watch this, your screenplay. That I'm so glad that jury gave you an award for your screenwriting. But you deal with the topic. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that you deal with the topic of social media. And I believe I said to you, I hope I say it as well now as I did at the theater. But when one is watching a thriller, horror, a film that writes a quest, right? The screenwriter or the storyteller asks a question. They put their lead character. I am fucking this up. Oh well, but anyway. There's the chance of painting oneself in a corner when you put your lead character in a situation that they must escape, right? And that's where, I won't name them, but I could actually name huge Hollywood directors who I could name like 4 out of 5 films they make are a great premise that falls flat at the end.
Mm,
And with Don't Watch This, you create a premise that really did create the situation where you had to have an ending that worked, and your ending works better than I could imagine. Like I was watching
thank
your
you.
film. I remember the first time I was watching it, and I'm like, this looks fantastic. The acting is fantastic. The editing is fantastic. The production, everything about this is fantastic. I'm totally into this story. Holy shit, I hope this director lands the plane. Right?
Thank you.
Right? Because that's what we do as an audience member. We're like, oh my God, I'm loving this, but I've been bitten before, right?
Yeah.
And oh my God, your ending is just, I think the word is poignant. It's just it resolves the story, and it makes a social commentary, and it's just so like whatever effort you put into screenwriting, bravo, sir, because man,
Thank
that
you
is a
so much.
well-written story.
I appreciate it. Yeah, this story was very, very hard to come up with. I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. That's okay, without spoiling it.
It's up to you,
Yeah. But
feel free to
basically,
spoil it. It's your thing. I can't
okay,
spoil, but you can.
okay. Well, I'll try not to spoil it. But my best ideas come when I'm in the shower. It's funny because to me, when I'm in the shower, I play music and I just think of ideas there. That's when they really flow. And I was thinking, I want to do a new short film. What do I make this time? And I just thought of this idea of, what if there's this woman that realizes she's in a movie? And I thought, oh my God, I could play so much with this. And basically what I was thinking is, wow, she could actually be seeing us watching her, and that would immerse the audience in a way that I really haven't seen before, which makes us a character of the movie pretty much unknowingly, right? And also it's something that we can't escape because we're just there. The only way to escape is to stand up and get out of the movie. So I was fascinated by this concept of, because I was thinking, when you want to make something immersive, it's usually to making it by with the technical 3D, surround sound, stuff like that, right? But I thought, what if the immersion came from the story, right? The dialogue, what's happening. So playing with the breaking the fourth wall, and I thought, yeah, I love this idea. I think it has so much potential. It's very original. So to get inspired, I started watching a lot of films that were breaking the fourth wall, and I realized it's usually used for the character to confide in the audience. Like a big example is House of Cards. He talks to us, but then he goes on with his life. Same Fleabag. Fleabag talks to us and then goes on with her life.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, like Deadpool, like I keep going because I did a lot of research on that. But I realized.
But they're almost always using it for comedy too, most of the time.
Exactly, yeah, and it has no effect in the character's world, right? In fact, I did see it on Fleabag once. She talks to the audience, and the guy's like, "What were you talking to?" She's like, "Oh, nobody, never mind." And he will never forget what I felt. I'm like, "Oh, I felt she was talking to me. I felt seen." So
Yeah,
I added
and
that.
I'll add. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'll add that also in all those other cases, this is what makes Don't Watch This so original. Is that in all those cases, that character is glad to have the audience to communicate with.
Yeah,
Whereas in Don't Watch This,
yeah.
your lead character dreads the connection to us.
Yeah, exactly. And because I was thinking, where can I take this movie? And I realized, well, if she knows she's in a movie, does anybody else know? And I thought, no, I think she's the only one that knows. So everybody starts thinking she's crazy. When in reality, she's the only sane one because she's in a movie and she sees us. So, whether you want to call it a simulation or a movie, she's the only one that can see beyond that. And really, she was the only one that wasn't crazy, right? If you think about it. So I was playing with that concept, and she was right. She would see us watching her, and everybody thinks she's crazy because nobody sees us watching her, but she does. So I played with that, but I was thinking, what theme do I want to explore here, right? And this was around the time where Kate Middleton wasn't showing up in public events, and everybody was like obsessed with her absence, and they started coming up with, "Oh, is she dead?" Blah blah blah. And we realized we as humans really have an obsession with other people. Tabloids sell so much. We really have an obsession. Social media, I think that's the biggest thing about social media. We're always comparing ourselves and looking at other people's lives. And I thought maybe that's the angle. Maybe that's where we go. Maybe this is a commentary on how we're obsessed with others. We're also obsessed with their demise. For example, I remember Britney Spears. Everybody loved when she shaved her head, and every time she uploads a video dancing with knives and stuff, which I make a reference to in the short film. It's like deep down, humans kind of like love that. I don't know what it fulfills in them, and that's what I wanted to explore. And I thought, okay, let's see how it works here. But she's a character that in the first 2 seconds you realize she consumes this media, and she's someone that consumes the demise of others. What if this happens to her?
And it's brilliant because I think the term that we're dancing around is boundaries, right? And boundaries are so healthy, and we don't know where to draw our boundaries in this modern society now, right? And like, yeah, Kate Middleton, I believe it was ended up being cancer or something, but like,
Yeah.
we don't accept the boundaries of others, and yet we want people to respect our boundaries. And yeah, there's hypocrisy, and then of course, yeah, there's this desire to be, yeah, social media has allowed everyone. I mean, I would joke that like everyone in high school wants to be an influencer at this stage. Like they're just like, yeah, can I pull this off? Heck, my friend's daughter graduated college and has a great career in New York, and is thinking maybe she'd rather be an influencer. And I'm like, oh my God, no, she has a real something real happening, and she wants to give it up to like, but yeah, it's like this desire to have fame and still have boundary. It's really a fascinating and really current topic you brought in.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I'm funny to tell you this, but I shot Don't Watch This, and it started on the second scene. And I showed it to some friends, and I have this friend in Colombia, Santi, who gave me a great note. He's like, why hair? Like, I want to get to know her. I want to know why hair. And I'm like, you're right, because I'm not really exploring it. So I said, you know what? We need to show that she's obsessed with social media. And I decided to add that first scene. So that was a reshoot. The first scene was a reshoot. I just went with the actors to this one location. We rented it for 4 hours, and we shot that scene, and we shot the last scene as well, because I don't know how much you want to get into this, but the story was different. The story I shot originally had her mom come in, support her, and at the end, the mom is the one that shows up in the climax of the scene. But I tried to make it work in the edit. I edited for like 8 months, and I was realizing it wasn't working out. I realized, first of all, adding the character of the mom, I added her too late in the story, and I felt it was just too much for a short film. And second of all, I made the mistake, I feel, and I gotta own this, on the big climax scene. I just wasn't successful in directing the mom the way I feel would have worked for the scene. And I was just in this situation where I'm like, okay, I have a climax that doesn't work, or do I try to reshoot the ending when I shoot the beginning? So in the reshoot, I reshot the ending, and I made the hard decision to cut out that character. So, the mom was in like 4 scenes, and I erased 3 scenes, and I reshot the one scene that I couldn't erase, which was the climax, and I reshot it without the mom.
I gotta say, it's refreshing and great. I mean, you looked at the work, and you had a vision, and you saw, and you adjusted perfectly, because I gotta admit, that first scene is the perfect introduction to the film and the character, because you introduce everything so efficiently, and we know so much about that lead character just from that first scene. And obviously I think your ending couldn't be better. So
Thank you.
So the ending decision is wonderful. And I just got a joke. I shouldn't say it, but I got a joke that you're I believe we're referring to a scene that features one of your other actors, Keoki Trask.
Keoki Trask is a fantastic actor.
And sometimes there was one time when I glanced at that actor and I wondered if it was Enrique.
Oh, that's funny. Really?
They looked similar to me at first. I could tell them apart. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that's funny.
But at first glance, I'm like, when I found out you guys were friends, I was like, oh my God.
That's funny. Yeah. Look, I gotta say this now that you mentioned Keoki and Natalie too, she's the main actress. I think they carried this film. I think it would have been nowhere where it is thanks to them. And their involvement after we did the film is just, honestly, couldn't have asked for better people. This is the second short film I did with Natalie. The previous one I did with her, and I loved her. So I brought her in, and this is the first time I work with Kiyoki, but I want to use him for my next one.
Oh yeah, and I definitely should have mentioned Natalie Paulson.
Yeah,
Paulson,
fantastic actress. She's
amazing.
character.
I mean, Natalie is nearly on camera for every second of the film,
Yeah,
and the film is excellent. And she really did throw the narrative on her own shoulders and carry it. Because I mean, she sells the premise.
yeah, fully. She kills it. I honestly, she did it better than I was expecting, and not that I was expecting from her, but just in general, I didn't know what to expect when I was writing the character. And like, I hope this works. It's such a hard role to play.
Well,
She
and you
nailed it.
certainly, I'm sure you said to yourself, "Wow, this is a challenge." Like I'm taking a big swing at
Oh,
a fast pitch here, and I could easily miss it. You know,
oh, yeah, that was the hardest part for me through the whole process, even writing it, was because I had saved some money for the short film, and I'm like, is this the one? Because it feels really out there. And as I did research online to get inspired, I realized the way I was breaking the fourth wall was something I hadn't really seen. There's this movie from England from the 70s that became a little bit of a horror cult movie called Peeping Tom, and I think that's the closest thing to this that I've seen, where I saw it and I'm like, okay, this is a good reference. But look, I looked so much for a reference, and that's like the closest one. So it was I did feel it was a big swing, especially because my goal was to have the audience feel immersed, and I thought it's an experiment. I didn't know if it was gonna work, and I realized, look, we'll see if the experiment works. It might not work, and this is gonna suck. But if it works, I think it could work pretty well. And now that I'm on YouTube and I read the comments, it's interesting to see, oh, it worked for a lot of people, and that's very satisfying.
well, and I'll just say, I mean, obviously I'm biased as the festival runner of two festivals that focus on indie film. But if you're going to make an indie film, short or feature or mid length, whatever, if you're going to make something independently, take that big swing. Because, the
Yeah,
world doesn't need a 14-minute film that's just a small version of what Hollywood gives us anyway.
that's a good idea. Yeah, you're
Like,
right.
be original, be unique, take a risk because there's no reason to play it safe. Because it's not like you're going to make a profit off a short film anyway, right? So
That's the thing.
so
Yeah,
so you've got to show your abilities, and so
yeah.
you made absolutely the right choice. Because
Thank you, I appreciate it. I think the biggest challenge is I think this idea was bigger. I think it would have worked better on a longer format. And honestly, as I was writing, I'm like, how am I gonna make this a short film? This needs to be a movie. And I think I was able to condense it into 15 minutes, but I believe the idea will be more successful in a long format because one thing is to put the audience to 15 minutes of this, but if I'm feeling this uncomfortable, making this woman uncomfortable for an hour and a half, I think I will get out of that movie with very strong feelings about, oh my gosh, I was just put into this situation. So, which is, I think, something that's harder to achieve on 15 minutes.
well, now you've certainly got me. You have forced me to ask the question: are you working on a feature version? You don't watch this.
So I will tell you this: I have it in my plans. I have an idea of where the story will go. I would say a little bit of an outline, but I haven't sat down to actually write it. I'm just focused on a little project that, as I said, it's far into the development process, and I think might be the first one that I get to make. But what I'm hoping is if I make this project, that I'm able to take a swing at the Don't Watch This feature because I really think it could be very special. What it would do for the audiences that watch it, I think it would just be such a roller coaster of emotions for you to watch this because it would hopefully include you or make you feel like you're part of it, right? And hopefully that's why it's called Don't Watch This. I'm telling you, do not watch this. Don't watch this if you don't want to be the antagonist, pretty much, right? And I remember when I was planning the short film, I was telling people, look, I would feel very successful even in the theater if someone stands up and leaves because that means I made them so uncomfortable, right? So I don't think that happened in the short film, but I feel maybe with the movie, people will be like, "Oh man, this is kind of like uncomfortable to leave." I don't know, but I do have it in my plans to turn into a feature. I have a little bit of an outline, and I'm even planning to use those deleted scenes to do a longer cut. Hopefully, use that to have a 25-minute edit that I can show people, hey, look, this is how it feels if it's a little bit longer, but I want to eventually make it into something where I can really explore her demise, how they think she's going crazy. Because in the short film I even explored, does she go to a psych ward, right? And we watch her there and stuff. Just didn't have the time or resources to do that. But on a feature, I think I would really want to push how crazy she feels and explore
And
the.
you're I'm sure you'll challenge yourself to come up with even more original ideas because obviously for 90 minutes you're going to want some key plot points and times where the story turns on a dime and I based upon the short I have no doubt that you will not settle for a story that isn't worthy of the 90 minutes. Like you will work on it till it's there.
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt. Yeah, because and again, it was a challenge to do it in 15 minutes, but 90 minutes is a whole different challenge. And I would like to take a swing at it, but definitely, it's who knows? It's an experiment. It's even an experiment at 90 minutes, even though the 15-minute experiment I think works. Yeah, it's nerve-wracking to think about doing it for 90 minutes, but I'm excited to explore it for sure.
I bet. But the truth is, as much as it feels like the culture and the industry wants the same old thing over and over, they don't because every year, there's one, two, maybe three really original ideas that hit the screen and audiences flock to it.
Yeah.
Well, we could name examples recently this year and last year that you give people an original story that works and they tell their friends, oh my god, you got to see this. Whereas you give people yet another film where the hero succeeds in a very Tom Cruisey way. It's like I don't think there were any twists or surprises in Top Gun 2. Not to a lot of people love that film, but they weren't watching it to see something original.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's me casting shade, but
No, I get it.
so your next step is you're focused on a now that Don't Watch This is wrapping up its festival run and you've got it out on YouTube and it's so cool that you're getting comments and stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is really cool. So my next step is really related to something I did before Don't Watch This. The short film I did before Don't Watch This did really well. And I turned that into a feature, and I have the script that got optioned, and our producer is trying to find financing. We have some, interest, and I'm just crossing fingers that it happens. So that's like the most solid prospect that I have in terms of my first movie happening. However, I don't want my destiny to be in the hands of some financier. So I have decided that I want to keep doing stuff of my own. I do have some savings, and I'm looking into maybe shooting a movie with my savings. It just needs to be a very grounded, small movie. Not a lot of characters and stuff. So I am also I have a draft of that script, and I am hoping to shoot that one. And for that movie, I was thinking on doing a little bit of a proof of concept, which is my short term project, which I plan to shoot in August. My next short film gonna be 11-minute short film, and I'm talking to Kioki to hopefully have him play the role in that one.
Excellent. And I'll add that it sounds like you're busy and productive, and I'll let everyone know that I'm also going to congratulate you on being a new dad.
Thank you. Yeah,
And
4 months
how
old.
cool that well, obviously you knew you were going to be a dad when I met you in December, but here you are now. 7 months later, you got a 4-month-old.
Yeah. It's been an amazing experience. Definitely, that's been my focus in the last 4 months. But yeah, it's also shaped. It's funny because it's shaped a lot about like what I want to write about. It's I don't know. I think I read a lot about my life experiences, I guess, and yeah, I'm like feeling pulled towards exploring that new chapter of my life.
Excellent. It's important. Lord knows the more you experience life, the better a creator and storyteller you can be. Because, boy, nothing's worse than those filmmakers and or even musicians who don't really do much beyond their work, and then like the work just becomes about work and it gets super meta, and it's like, when a rock album is about, I always got sick of those 70s rock albums that were like, okay, now we're going to write the album about what it's like to be on tour. And I'm like, well, that's not interesting, man. Like, we get it. There's groupies and drugs and booze. Like,
Yeah.
write about real life still.
Yeah. That's interesting. You're right. Yeah, I noticed, with my daughter, because this feature that I told you I'm writing based on the previous short film, I started exploring, because it always was a short film that included a pregnancy, but now I feel I'm in a different place where I can write from, having a daughter, I can write about a pregnancy way differently than I did before I even had a girl with.
Absolutely. Cool. All right, well, here, I'll wrap us up since
Okay.
I know we don't have too long and we've got some time constraints, and we're going to record your 4 questions episode right after we get out of here.
Okay.
But, I'll ask you though, anyone you want to thank or shout out before we run?
Yeah, well, look, to be honest, I already said this, but I think the people in front of the camera, Keoki, Natalie, and Brandy West, she played the therapist. I think without them, this would not be possible. But also the people behind camera. We had a fantastic team. This was really possible thanks to Lena and Justin. They were the producers, and they have the possibility to rent free camera equipment. And they came to me and said, "You have any ideas? We want to give this opportunity to you." And that's how Don't Watch This was able to happen, because I didn't, they saved me money through that. So they were definitely a key element in this, key part in this. And the crew we built out was outstanding. The vibes were incredible. I really think my goal as a director is to let everybody shine in their art. Hopefully I just give them a North Star. And I really think they make me look good, because a lot of the things you praise is theirs. They are the ones that mastered the art. The DP, he was on his playground. I feel my role was to give him actors to put in front of his camera and give him equipment for him to light it the way he wants. And same with like the makeup, right? It is just like a combination of all these different masters of their craft that really put their all, and I think it's seen there, and I thank them because they make me look good. But it was really a group effort that I think they should be, here with me in this interview. So yeah, I just want to thank them. This is really their project.
For sure, yeah. The quality is just outstanding, and I know it's an unfair adjective to use, but I mean, yeah, from the first shot, it looks like a real movie.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. The DP, Mariano, he killed it.
Absolutely.
I used to work for my next. I did a short film after that one, but it's in post right now. He did the cinematography, and I plan to use him on the one I'll shoot in August.
Excellent. All right. Well, let me do the wrap up, which is first, thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you.
We'll have any links in the show notes that you want, to Don't Watch This, or just your YouTube in general and your social media, any links you want in there. And I will ramble off the links that people can do for this, which is, well, first, thank you everyone for listening to the Discover Indie Film podcast, where we talk to filmmakers on the festival circuit. If you want to learn more about the podcast and things that grow from it, go to discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFWins. Maybe a reason I love Danny's film so much. No, it's not the only reason, but I did quit social media a year and a half ago. A soft quit, but I avoid it as much as I can, which means if you go to @DIFWins on any of the social media platforms, it won't be me who sees your comment or your message. It'll be my wonderful podcast producer, Karina, who slogs into social media so that I don't have to, because, oh man, yeah, I can't deal anymore.
Yeah.
So that's my social media comment, but @DIFWins for social media, discoverindiefilm.com for the web. And if you go to discoverindiefilm.org, that is the nonprofit that runs both Sherman Oaks Film Festival, where we screen Danny's film, Don't Watch This, and Film Invasion Los Angeles. You can link to both of their websites from discoverindiefilm.org. learn all about it. And I'll mention that, and this is kind of cool because I'm talking to a South American, but besides those two festivals that I call sister festivals, this year we launched the very first extension, which is, I call it the cousin, down in South America. We had Film Invasion Lima in Peru.
No way. I did not.
Yeah, we launched Film Invasion Lima, and thankfully we had alumni down there, and we worked it out. And so we held Film Invasion Lima in January of 2026. In 2027, we're actually moving Film Invasion Lima to February so that it lines up with Valentine's Day and President's Day weekend here in the States. So hopefully more people can travel. But we had an amazing festival down in Lima. So I always liked, and by the way, we have all of Film Invasion Lima is couched inside the filminvasionla.com website. So it does have its own social media, but we thought, website, schmebsite. People don't even care about websites anymore. Yeah. So Lima is just part of the filminvasionla.com website. So
that's
there
awesome.
We go. All right. Danny Pineros, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jeff.
And thank you everyone for listening.